In this video, I want to share my experience shooting street photography in India. But before we get into details, I want to show you some photos from a recent trip. I just got back from 6 days in Pune and Mumbai. Now I was working, but alongside work, I was able to shoot some street photos. So in this video, I want to talk about my experience and also share some photos with you. This isn't an in-depth representation of India as a whole. This is not even a 0.1% glimpse into the lifestyle out there. However, I do feel like I took one in a lifetime style photos out there. The photos I took in India, I don't think I'll ever be able to take anywhere else in the world. So I thought it'd be cool for anyone who's interested to know what it's like doing street photography in India, or anyone who's just interested into a little glimpse of what it's like out there. I thought I'd just share my experience from my perspective. So why was I in India? Let's just give you a quick short story. I was working on a video project with James Sinclair. Now James Sinclair's a UK business owner that I shoot a lot of video content with. He's actually manufacturing toys and teddy bears over in India. Very random, I know, but I had the opportunity to go alongside him in the trip and document the process, documentary style, and showcase what business is like in India. So we were there for 6 days, touring some factories, looking at manufacturers. He was doing some business deals, and alongside that, I was able to walk around the streets, visit Mumbai and Pune, and shoot some street photos. But as a street photographer and as someone who is a street photographer watching this, you will know that when you go to a new city, it is just visual overload, or any new location really. Pune and Mumbai specifically did not disappoint. Every taxi journey and car ride, every time we went anywhere, I just didn't put the camera down once. And I felt like my street photography was a little bit different when I was out traveling, because I was kind of just taking photos of everything I was observing or everything I noticed that kind of caught my eye, or whenever I spotted anything, I just took a photo of it. Whereas in London and in the UK, you kind of stop and pause and look for artistic compositions, and you're waiting for the right moment. There's a little bit more thought that goes into it. Well, that's the case with my photography normally, but when I was in Pune in Mumbai, there was no time to stop and look for artsy compositions. It was just go, go, go. And yeah, I was taking photos of literally anything and everything. One of my biggest takeaways from shooting photos out there was the people and how nice everyone was. Now, this could be because I obviously looked like a tourist. I didn't really know where I was, and you know, someone with 2 cameras kind of aimlessly walking around Mumbai, it kind of looks obvious that, okay, he's not from around here. But the interactions I was having with people created some really nice photos, and those interactions don't come by often in London or in the UK, for example. That's just something I noticed. There's this one portrait of a guy that stands out for me. So we were in central Mumbai. James was looking in a fabric shop looking for materials, and we were filming bits and bobs. After we filmed that, I wandered out onto the street to take some photos. Now this one guy came up to me on his bike, stopped, and then in a language barrier type way kind of gestured for me to take his photo, and I jumped at the opportunity as a street photographer and as someone who occasionally takes street portraits. I thought, yeah, this is cool. I can get a nice portrait portrait of someone without it looking shady or without them like dodging the photo. Someone encouraged the interaction, which is always nice. So I took his photo and he said thank you and he biked away. Now, what was interesting about this experience was as if he was doing me a favor, as if he saw that I was a tourist, obviously, had cameras, and he was like, yeah, I want this guy to take a photo of me. And that's what I did. It was just such a nice, genuine moment that probably wouldn't happen in London unless someone looks cool or they're out and about to get attention. And that happened 4 or 5 times, and I got some great portraits of some people over there. A lot of the photos I took on this trip, like this one, for example, we did a lot of traveling from hotel to factory to city to hotel to factory, etc. So I spent a lot of the time hanging out the taxi window taking photos. So I tried to keep a fast shutter speed to make sure most of my images were sharp. But this one here is one of my favorites. These guys are in a tuk-tuk, I think it is. That's probably not the right word. There's probably an actual name for these vehicles. But they just like cram as many people in these little cars as possible. I saw these guys pulled up next to me and they all smiled, looked my way, and I just had the opportunity to take their photo. And I got plenty of photos just like that, but I've never been driving around a city anywhere else and have been interested in taking photos out the window. But in India, well, Pune and Mumbai specifically, the traffic is like nothing I've ever experienced. It's so busy. I also had the opportunity to take quite a lot of photos from a moving car, which was totally different. And that's a type of street photography I'm not normally used to doing, but I'm pretty pleased with the type of images that I did get. Some of the environments we were in Mumbai and Pune were obviously less developed than other areas. And something I did feel when I was taking photos of everyone and anyone was like this entitled, privileged tourist photography mindset where like I'm just there for a quick moment, I'm taking photos of everyone and then I'm leaving. Like it almost feels a bit disrespectful. So there was many times where I was watching people or observing what was going on in the city and I just didn't take a photo because it didn't feel right to. But also on the other side of that, I'm traveling and I want to take photos of everything that I observe. So there was this weird battle going on between I want to be respectful and I don't just want to take photos of everyone and everything then leave, because that's what I've done, but also I am there to create content, make videos and take photos. So I also wanted to enjoy doing that. So that was a weird street photography anxiety that I came across. Whereas in the UK, sometimes you're a little bit anxious in the streets. You don't want to confront people. You don't want to have to go through all that. But over there, kind of had the same problem as well. Like I had to get into flow and take a few photos and get over that barrier of, oh, should I be doing this? Shouldn't I be doing this? And then saying that, what was interesting is most of the people that I spoke, actually every single person I spoke to out there, like briefly in a weird language barrier type way, was happy to have a photo taken. And that is something different compared to London or the UK. There was this one guy that was just, tying loads and loads of stuff to his moped. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I've got to get a photo. And he saw that I was hovering and he said, look, take a photo of me. Like he pointed at his moped and was happy to pose for me. So that was cool. And like I said, there's a weird street photography anxiety that street photographers have where they just like can't seem to get into flow. But out there, they kind of encouraged it and they wanted me to take as many photos as I wanted. But obviously this is not a generalization of everyone. There's good and bad people everywhere, but just from my tourist experience, that's what I found. Before we left the factories and like central Mumbai and the real gritty industrial side, where we were filming and things, we did have a few hours in Mumbai at the tourist areas. Now this photo here, which I'll show you on screen as well, is one of my favorites from the whole trip because this immediately stood out to me as, okay, this guy is trying to sell balloons to the general public. This is definitely a seaside environment. Seasides seem to be a good place for color and street photography, and in Mumbai it was no different. This was right by the gateway of India, and this guy selling this giant yellow balloon just stood out to me. So I was really pleased with how this photo came out, taken on the Fuji as well. I love the two guys in the green shirts as well. They just nicely balance out the photo, and then obviously the yellow balloon just stands out. And then I turned around after I took that photo, and this guy was behind me. This police officer sat on his bike. Now I think what I like about this photo the most is the edit from the Fuji camera. It kind of looks like I've taken it on film. But again, this is another example of, obviously I look like a tourist. I turn around, I see this guy sat on a bike, and I was eager to take a photo of him. And he kind of just noticed I held my camera up and gestured to take a photo, and he just nodded. I took the photo, and that was that. And again, one of my favorite photos from the trip. I like the vibe. I don't know how I managed to create the vibe, but I've created a vibe and I like the colors. I like the way it looks. These two photos are probably my most tourist style photos, but some of my favorites. One thing I did find that was funny around the Gateway of India was literally 1,000,001 photographers that wanted to take a photo of you from a tourist point of view, and then they would print the photo and sell it to you. Just people seriously hustling, just using numbers, 10 tourists by the sea, and there was like 25 photographers. So these photographers just completely outnumbered the tourists. And I just thought it was funny as a photographer, because I was like, these guys are hustling. This is proper work. Someone that we were working with over in India did get a group photo and paid this guy. And the print, and I don't have the print with me, the print was like, worked out to be like 6p or something. It's incredibly cheap for a photo of everyone. It was like a group photo we took. But I'm just bringing this up because it made me laugh, because there was literally so many photographers, and they all had Nikon cameras, so I'm joking, I'll let them off. The gear I used in India was the Canon R6, which was my workhorse for video. I didn't put the camera down, I barely turned the camera off. So I had the 16 to 35mm lens stuck to the Canon R6, and I also had the Sennheiser AVX lapel mic. So obviously I had the receiver on my camera and the microphone was on James Sinclair, because we were, like I said, filming a lot of documentary stuff, vlog style content. So I was pretty much filming him the entire time. And then also in my other hand, or around my neck, I had the Fuji X100V, which if you're a recent subscriber and viewer of this channel, you know it's like my new favorite camera, and I just take it everywhere and take photos of everything with it. So the Fuji did not disappoint. I managed to take, well, pretty much all the photos that's out in front of me now, and all the photos you've seen on screen, literally all of them were taken with the Fuji. Maybe a couple of them with the R6. I think maybe this one was with the R6, this low light shot. Most of the photos and the stills from this trip with the Fuji. It's just such a small, compact camera. It's almost, I forget that I have it around my neck and I forget that it's in my pocket. So the Fuji came in clutch. But again, the R6 was the workhorse that filmed all of the video content. The weather was amazing. Obviously, as someone who lives in the UK, anywhere else has great weather. The people were amazing, and visually it was amazing. The colors, the culture, the environment was so cool to shoot street photography in, and if anyone's thinking about it, or if anyone has the opportunity to go, I can't encourage it enough. Like I said at the start of this video, I took once in a lifetime style photos. I just feel like these images here, these tourist images, I'll show you them on screen. I just don't think I can take these photos anywhere else except for India. I think it's such a unique, special place, and I don't think there's culture quite like it anywhere else in the world. I hope you enjoyed the photos. I enjoyed my trip so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.